Listen, that's the only thing I did in her class. Go fix it. I don't want to do it. Neither do I. No one does. That's why no one's done it yet. It was classwork. Stupid video. What's the video? I'm not Sarah. You guys do the diagrams and match them? No, I'm not. So you have to push them. What is she? What was she teaching? I'm going down to. You can watch that video. Well, I was tired.
Hello, Manha. How are you? Hello, Paul. Hello, Emma. Good morning, Marco.
No, all the grades are in there, but you can't see them. The average is everything is in. Like it doesn't pop up, it's only for grades, isn't it? That's why I was asking her why do I have an 82 if all of the things are there.
Good morning, Leah and Anna. How are you? All right, we are going to wait just a couple more minutes to see if we pick up a few more people. We have a pretty light day today in the sense that we are not going to cover really any new content, but we're going to talk about basically what we covered in quarter one. And we're going to talk about some expectations for quarter two. Okay. So that is our plan for today.
Yeah, no, you have to do it and then show her. Like right now. And you're like, show me. But I don't know what the answer is. All I know is that it is a person. But I don't know what the negative is. That's why it's
Good morning, Benjamin. How are you? Good morning. So did you guys survive the PSAT? What do you think about how everything is set up here now? It's pretty crazy, huh? So those of you who are here, you can go ahead and go to this link. We're going to use a new thing called Nearpod today. And then we'll see how we feel about it. So as people are joining in. Oh, okay, Benjamin, thank you for letting me know. So we've got Haiti and we've got Lacey, Sundus and Eric. So everybody else, if you can turn your cameras on briefly, please do. And I will mark you as present. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Haiti. Thank you, Sundus. Let's see. Thank you, Lacey. Thank you, Emma.
She's so nice. So that's someone else's. Why is everybody yawning? Wake up, silly gooses. That's what I did.
All right. Hello. I haven't seen Eric yet. I haven't seen Carolyn. Hello, Ivan. Hello, Laturo. Hello, hello. I've got Saeed and Jermaine. The camera doesn't work while you're at school. Okay, that's fine. Thank you for letting me know. All right, Saeed, hello. Jermaine, hello. So here is the link that I want all of you to go to, please. So please make sure that you're in the Nearpod.
Are you serious?
All right. And we will wait just a couple more minutes and see if we pick up anybody else. So if you haven't used Nearpod before, it's basically a way to make lessons more interactive. The history packet was locked. Oh, it's identical to your old history packet, but I will unlock it, no problem. Let me do that real quick then while we're waiting. Yeah, it's exactly the same as the old history packet. It says that it's enabled, so I don't know why it was locked. Can you guys check it now and see if you can get in, please? Because it says on my side that it is, you click the link and nothing shows up. That's interesting. I have that a couple of you have already done it, or it says currently not taking submissions. You know, the other class had that problem too. So let me just, you'll have to refresh, but I'm just going to edit it to enable. And then that's right, I need to give you an extra day. There we go. Okay, you still can't see it? The new one or the old one, Jermaine? Are you guys looking at the one in the 1013 folder or the old one? So make sure that you're in the one with the in the 1013 folder. It's identical to the other one. I don't understand why it's not taking submissions, because it is, I mean, people have submitted. What? Oh. Let's, doesn't make any sense. Since enabled, scholarly habits, save. It could be a Schoology problem right now. Okay, so some of you are able to get in, some of you aren't. So it is just for your sake to review. It's going to be a scholarly habits grade. So I just wanted to give you the chance to review again before we take the test on Tuesday, okay? So we'll check it again and see if it's working. The history packet, I think he's talking about, Jermaine. Here's the link for the Nearpod that I want you guys to be logged into, please. And then the history packet is in 1013 in Schoology. So let's go through the Nearpod and then we will fix the Schoology issue, okay? Or make sure that it's fixed for everyone. So I've got 7 people logged in on Schoology right now. Now I've got 9. So go ahead and log into the Nearpod. And we can get started. All right, so today we're going to talk about sort of going back over and talking a little bit about how Q1 went, and then we're going to talk about some Q2 expectations so that you guys have a good idea about what is coming ahead in Q2, okay? And then we will go on Schoology all together. We should have a little bit of time at the end of class. You just have to log in to the Nearpod. It'll ask you to just, what does it say? You like pick a username or something, right? Looking at the student view right now. Yeah. So just put your name in and that way I can see you, okay? All right, so we're going to talk about today what we liked and what we didn't like from Q1, all right? So I want you to take a couple of minutes to consider first what you liked about Q1, and you're going to write the answers on our collaborative board, okay? I am going to be able to see your name on the comments, but the other students will not. So you can, Amal, here's the link for what we're on. So you can share your thoughts, but just be aware that I'll know who is saying what, but the other students will not. Okay, so first of all, we're going to focus on what you enjoyed. Okay, so I want you to put what you enjoyed about Q1 on our first collaborative board together. Okay, you liked your final grade, all right. It's concerning to me that that's the only thing that you liked. Using the YouTube videos to learn more about the topics. You can do notes at your own pace and not have to rely on classmates, okay? That is one benefit to online learning is that you can, if you have the PowerPoint open, you can like flip back and forth. You like the review packet and the crash course videos, okay? Thank you. Yeah, and you guys have already discovered there's like little hearts. So if somebody says something you agree with, it was a reasonable amount of work, not too much, not too little, all right? The way you learned, okay? Unlike other classes, there wasn't a project for this class and not as much project work, okay? Watching class videos gave you more of a feeling of like being in the classroom, all right? Okay, YouTube videos, okay. It's funny because what I've learned sharing this is that the classes have either really liked the videos or they have just absolutely hated them. So, all right, so we've still got a few people that we're missing. So let me add Faith. Amal, when Faith gets in here, I'll give her the link too. The review packet, okay. I'll tell you that the review packet is very similar to kind of what you get in college, and a lot of, especially introductory classes, will give you just like a big review packet. The crash course videos, they kept my attention and helped me understand the material. Okay, great. I'm still waiting to hear from just a couple of people. So this collaborative board is sort of this new thing that I think we're going to try to see if we like it, because instead of having to go back and forth from the chat, we can all read what's being shared and it's more like immediate, right? Explain the concepts because I understood what was going on. All right, well, that's good. That's the goal, right, in general. Pernasia, this is the Nearpod that we're using, so you want to go ahead and log in so that you can participate. All right. Okay. I'll wait just a minute more and then we will, or a couple of minutes more, and we will go ahead and move on. But so it seems like so far we like the YouTube videos. We like the amount of work. And I think for this semester, I'm going to really try to make it even more like evenly paced so that we don't have just like a sudden mashup of stuff that's due in this class altogether, because it's also very hard for me to keep up with the grading of it, right? And then I also want to give you guys like sort of longer timelines to do things, okay? Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and click onto our next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, I just saw one pop up as I left. And it was, oh, the videos. Okay, great. Okay, so a couple of things I liked. I think we learned a lot about what works for this class and what doesn't work. And I really appreciated that when we had all these technical issues, like on my end, on your end, like we were able to work through it. I thought that a lot of you are being really good about communicating when you need help or when you need a better explanation or when you need clarification about things, right? Obviously, I've enjoyed getting to know you guys, right? Because each class is really different from one another, and each class deserves like a sort of tailored experience, and I want to be able to do that even more in Q2. Okay, so now I would like you to think about what you didn't like or what you struggled with during Q1, okay? And while you do that, I will be right back. Okay, so I can't change waking up early, okay? Taking notes, okay, well, I will be honest with you, that's not gonna change, right? I would really encourage you to find what works for you with taking notes. That may be like having the PowerPoint open and taking notes in the bottom of the slide. It may mean typing notes. It may mean writing by hand. Like you have to figure out what works best. The group project, I understand that. We're going to change some things about how any group project in this class would work for the future. The essays and the quizzes, again, you're going to definitely have at least one essay and some quizzes in this class. You didn't find all the lessons interesting. Yep, I mean, that's kind of how it goes. You have to look for something to keep your attention. Sometimes you couldn't hear the YouTube videos, okay? So I will try to keep that in mind. Too many journal entries. Now, I don't really understand that. And I got to tell you guys, to be honest with you, if you do the journal entry every time it happens, you just do a Word doc and you put the journal entry in the Word doc every time you have one, how are you like struggling to keep up with them? Like the point of them is that that's your homework. If you don't get it done in class, you're doing it that day, right? So I don't really understand the problem that we had with journal entries. because yeah, the whole concept of them is that you are doing them the day of the class. So I think that's something that, but you should have it, it should have its own document or its own Word doc or something. Like they don't have to be with the rest of your notes. So that's something that I would consider you to think about. Pick your own people for projects. We might be able to do that if we do any like group work, but there's not going to be any more projects. Some of the lessons, again, I can't change how history works. So sometimes the notes weren't always specific. I don't know if you're talking about like the information about the countries or the notes for like the assignments. Someone could clarify that for me. I would appreciate it. Trying to see if there's any like big things that I haven't covered. I don't see anything specifically. So I can't really like promise that. I mean, we were doing like a quick history review, and I think knowing what I know now about how much you guys didn't get to because of the pandemic, I probably should have spread it out. Like I was more thinking, I was sort of thinking more that it was maybe like a regular sort of situation where you had really like gotten to all of these things and it was just more of like a review, right? Where it's like, oh, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember that? So that probably could have been more like spaced out over time. I was sort of assuming that it was going to be a review situation instead of you guys learning content more for the first time during the history portion, to be honest, which is like, but something that I should have been able to accommodate more. So things that I didn't like, that I felt like there were a lot of times when I didn't do a very good job at communicating expectations to you guys, and that's definitely my fault. And so I'm going to really attempt to write clearer instructions for assignments in the future. There were times when I feel like some of you guys, not all of you, obviously, but some of you guys aren't super engaged. And I know that it's difficult. And if you're not interested in the lesson or if you're not interested in the time period that we're looking at, that, you know, it's difficult to tune in, not to mention being on the computer all day, every day. But all I can ask is that you attempt to sort of focus a little bit more on what we're talking about and less on all the other stuff that's going on in your world, right? Whether that be just like putting your phone a little, out of your reach or, whatever it is that you need to do to focus. I just ask that you try to do that. So do you guys think those two things are fair? Like my assessments of of quarter 1, 2? I'm trying to find a way to do because I heard that you can do it, but it would be like a Google Doc that just for the journal entries that's in Schoology that you guys would add to, but I haven't figured out how it works. So I've got to try to get that information. I sent an email to the teacher who mentioned it. I just haven't heard back yet. So that might also help things if it's actually in Schoology the whole time, and you're just adding the entries as they come up. So what do you guys think? Is that fair or no? See a couple people nodding that I can see. Most of you I can't see though, so you think it's fair? Yes. Okay. Okay. Fair. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to try harder to be more concise and clearer, and then I just need you guys to try on your side to pay attention and or to be involved, which again, the Nearpod is part of what I'm trying to do to like keep engagement up. Okay, so we have a poll here, and a lot of you have already talked about this, but do you like the Crash Course Theater videos, and do you think they are helpful? So go ahead and vote in this poll, please. Even though I've already heard about it from several of you, this poll will be saved. So the answers are yes, no, or I don't feel strongly either way. So far, I've got a lot of yeses, and I've got a lot of I don't feel strongly either way, which is fine. All right, so it looks like we have mostly that you don't feel strongly either way or that you enjoy them, with so far a couple of people saying that they don't like them. So for those of you who don't enjoy them, I think they're going to stick around, but I'm going to try to also use some videos from some other sources. The problem is that, so let me explain this. And I'm trying to figure out a solution. The Crash Course videos were made by PBS, and they are like for educational purposes. So when I use them in class and then I post the video to YouTube, while they get flagged as like, oh, it's like copyrighted by somebody else, they don't get blocked on YouTube, right? Because like PBS is saying like this is for educational purposes and that's what I'm using it for, right? Sometimes when I use videos from other sources, like for instance, I don't think it was this class, I think it was one of my 9th grade classes, but I showed them a video of Chinese opera, and it was both like copyright claimed, but they also blocked it. So since I'm supposed to be able to show the video to the students who don't make it to class, then I have to figure out like what, because it tells you like, that it was blocked. I have to like go in, I have to edit it, I have to clip that part out, I have to, so it's a lot more difficult to post the videos for the students who have to do like classes at night if it's copyrighted material. Okay. So that's part of the thing why Crash Course Video is so nice, is because they will never block the video and I don't have to worry about that. So we're also going to be now moving into like a section where we're not going to be focusing, like Crash Course is really good for history, right? We're not going to be focusing on that a whole lot anymore. So we probably won't see a lot of those videos now. But what we might have to do is like through Nearpod, I can post a video and you guys can click on it and watch it on your own computer rather than through Zoom. And if I do it that way, then I don't think it'll get copyright claimed. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But just to give you a heads up about what's going on with that. It's like all the little things that you have to think about, right? Okay, so let's talk about Q2 so that you guys know like sort of what's coming up. And there's something in here that you're not gonna like, and I'm sorry, but it's a mandatory paper that you guys are gonna have to write. So just be aware. So we are going to be doing a solo project, and then you have to write an essay about the project, right? So the essay is a mandatory essay that has to be done every year, and it basically gets a little harder every year. So for you guys, you're going to be doing a playwriting project. So you are going to pick a playwright and essentially research that playwright. So tell us like who they were, what kind of theater, like what kind of plays they wrote, why they're important to the theater, and a synopsis of one of their plays. I will give you feedback on what you've chosen. So that way I'm going to stop you from picking something that's like super hard to research. Okay. Then, so you're going to make the presentation. Then you'll write a paper about that project. So the paper will be about like what you did and what you learned. That paper has to be 700 to 950 words, and you have to use and cite one source. Okay, so read that over, think about it for a second, and then if you have questions, let me know. So you've sort of practiced this already with your group projects. So what questions do you guys have about this?
Did you take the quiz? Yeah. I was smart enough to have my opinion and can be noted.
Nobody has any questions? Okay, yes. In mind, yes. How far back can you go? Jasmine, I'm willing to let you go wherever you want. I'm going to give you guys some like lists of some people to give you like, oh, this might be somebody that you're interested in. Okay. I want to have the playwriting project and the paper both done by Thanksgiving. So that way, after Thanksgiving, it's like it's done. We don't have to worry about it anymore. So if we look at the schedule, we'll basically be starting playwriting. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the history of playwriting. And I'm going to break it down into some categories of playwrights that you might be interested in. So you'll start working on that project basically after the quiz next week. So we have the quiz on Tuesday. Yeah, we have the quiz on Tuesday. On Thursday of next week, you're already going to be given some playwrights to start like looking at. What I would basically suggest is just to get on Google and Google some of them and see who starts to sound interesting so that you can pick somebody, right? I think I have, let me double check this schedule here because I have this written down. Okay, so my idea for the project is that the project would be due for you guys on November 5th. And then the paper would be due the 19th of November. So you would have 2 weeks after you finish the project to get the paper done. And that way, between when you have the project due and when the paper is due, you will be able to, like work, like we'll have like a writing day where you guys can work with me and you can peer review for each other. So that way, basically by the 19th of November, your 3 summatives are done. And then when we come back, we're going to do directing stuff, which will then end with like a fun creative project. So what do you guys think about that now that you have that info? Sounds good? Okay. So yeah, I'll be giving you some lists of playwrights based on like female playwrights and like early playwrights of color and playwrights who were very unique and like I said, then you'll basically say, okay, I want to write about let's just say you're like, I want to write about August Strindberg. It's like, okay, I know that there's plenty of stuff for him, so like, sure, absolutely. But if you picked somebody who there's very little research on, then we might say, okay, well, what is appealing about them so that I can help you find somebody who it won't be quite so difficult to do your project on, okay? Because obviously there's a lot of playwrights who are incredibly interesting who only wrote like 1 or 2 plays, right? So next week, I will give you all the details about the project, and I will also show you the rubric that you're going to be graded on. So that way you have all of that information, and none of it is, a mystery. Does this sound okay? Or are we already like overwhelmed? I've seen a couple thumbs up, and then I'm seeing a couple of people who look like they're a little nauseous. Essentially, since the paper has to be done and the paper has to be done on a project, I thought, well, let's start with playwriting. And basically, you've practiced doing these projects in groups. It's a fairly similar project. It's just going to be by yourself. Okay. All right. Okay. Seems like everybody's pretty okay. Thank you, Jermaine. Okay. Seems like everybody's pretty okay with it and prepared. So, okay. So group projects, how we did them. I don't think we're going to have any more multi-day group projects. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and say that we won't. What we might be doing is, like for instance, for playwriting, you'll have like a group and you will maybe like work on creating a scene together. So it's like, okay, you have 20 minutes to do this. And then in 20 minutes, you turn in what you did, right? So that way it's only the people who are present at the time. You don't have to coordinate with anybody who's not like in class. And it won't be summative grades anymore. It'll be like formative stuff. Okay. Does that sound better? Still, so you still get to work together. It's not going to be like, well, try to get a hold of someone who wasn't in class today or, so I think that will be a little bit less stress on everybody. And you won't have any summative grades that are based on like the work of anybody else. One of the things that I am going to have you do for this project in paper is that I will have you create deadlines for yourself. So you're going to say, okay, on the, let's say, the 28th of October, I'm going to tell you which playwright I want to research. And then you're required to meet that deadline, right? And you're going to say, okay, on the, 31st of October, I'm going to have 3 slides, or I'm going to have the biography of the playwright done. And, so you're required to sort of make your own schedule and either make those deadlines or not. Okay. And this is just to give you some opportunity to practice that kind of work, right? Breaking down a big project into smaller goals for yourself. So, I've set the final deadline, and you're going to set all the deadlines in between that you need. And that way, if you are falling behind, way ahead of time, like where it's happening, and maybe we can then work in my office hour together. Okay. So this is Nearpod. I think we're going to try to use Nearpod more. I like the collaborative boards. I like the polls. I think maybe it will get people to speak up a little bit more as far as like text is. I'm going to be asking you to participate more on the mic for those of you who have working mics. So I would like you, if you don't have a mic, to contact edtech@uplifteducation.org and copy me. If I don't see an email from you, I'm going to assume you have a mic that works, okay? If you have a mic but you have bandwidth issues, when I cold call you, I'll ask you to put comments in the chat. But for reading slides and things, if you have a mic that works and you know that it does, maybe volunteer to read slides, right? Instead of me having to cold call for that stuff too. Because, let's be honest, reading slides isn't really a difficult way to participate, right? So that's some things that I'm going to try so that we get more participation and we get more conversation sparking. Do you guys like the collaborative boards and stuff so far that we've used today? I just saw Paul go, eh. Yes, okay. I think it feels a little bit more like, I don't know, personable rather than the chat, right? It's all right, says Eric. Because this chat for me, like it scrolls up so quickly, and like the collaborative board, it all stays on one screen. And Nearpod does some other stuff that's like pretty cool that I just haven't learned about yet. Last Friday I learned about Nearpod, and so I basically took the like 3 or 4 things that I could incorporate the quickest and put them in here. Okay, so this is just your final thing. Questions or comments that you haven't expressed about Q1 or Q2. So I want you to take just a couple of minutes, fill this out, and then we will go ahead and look at Schoology and the review one more time together, okay? Right now, you're not checking anything, Marco. You're just answering the question on Nearpod. And then we're going to go ahead and go to Schoology together. So far, I'm not getting, okay. All right, no questions or concerns. A few of you I would love if you guys would actually use my office hour and come in and talk to me before you get behind, right? So, like for instance, you know, like I'm literally always logged in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from 3 to 4, and nobody ever comes to see me. How many projects are there going to be? You're going to have, I'm going to write this in here. I mean, there's going to be small projects that you're going to do in class, right? But like big stuff. So you have the test, you have the playwriting, you have a scene that you're going to do, playwright project, playwright essay, directing project. That's it, basically. So that's basically it there. The test, you're going to write a scene, and we're going to write it over the course of the whole playwriting unit. You have that project that you're going to do on a playwright, and the essay you have to write about that project. And then basically at the end of the quarter, you're going to do like a creative project with directing, where you're going to take a play and you're going to show us, if you were to direct that play, what kinds of decisions you would make for it. So you'll show us like what the costumes would look like, what you would want the set to look like, the lighting, maybe sound. So you're going to get to basically like do like a big, like a creative presentation. Let's see. Okay. One concern I have is that doing group work. Okay. So I hear you about the concerns about group work. I can't make you get on camera. I can't make you talk. And I'm sure it's frustrating when you really like want to get it done. What I would say is that the projects would be stuff like you have to write a scene together. And so if I come in and check on you guys and you're like, so-and-so, we haven't heard from them the whole time, it's like, okay, well, then they're going to get a 0. But I do understand. So I had a couple of questions about what else will we get this quarter. So I just put that in the chat. Of course, there's going to be some exit tickets as usual, and then you're going to have your journal. Retake things more than once. Okay, so the retake policy is, and I think you guys probably understand this, if you get under than an 80, you can retake whatever it is within 3 weeks, right? You can only get up to a 70, but you can retake things as much as you want in that 3-week period. It just you can't ever get higher than a 70. So most of the time, if you guys got lower than a 70 on your retake, I would tell you like, hey, you can do that again, right? It's just, I prefer to do the test, to do the retakes, like giving you 1 or 2 attempts each time, and then make a new document, because it helps me keep track of who needed to do it more often than other people, so that I know I can focus and help and reach out to those people more often. Being in a lazy group, you're concerned about that. I understand. Anything else? Right? Okay. All right. So it looks like most everybody who had a question or a concern has posted it. And again, don't be afraid to tell me or reach out to me when things aren't working, right? Like I said, if you're in a group for, a 20-minute writing assignment and nobody's working, you can get a hold of me and say like, hey, I don't know, like, what can I do to do this? Because I'll move you to a different group. Like, if you're the only one who's working and there's another group that's doing really well, I can move you to them. But the group stuff is going to be much smaller than it was before. I can tell you that. All right, so let's go ahead and look at Schoology really quick. So there should be now, let me share my screen with you.
I am doing
So in the 1013 to 1016 folder, everybody try there and see if you can get into this new review document. It's the same test, but it is not a summative. It is just a scholarly habits, where I basically just want to see if you're going to study or not before the test, is what the whole point of this is. So you should be able, because I have it so that it's enabled and that it's due by Monday at midnight. Okay. I also have an article in here for you guys about Zoom fatigue. So if you haven't heard what that is, I'd encourage you to read it and just see if you're feeling those symptoms. Okay, so we have 10 minutes. You can work on the Q1 review or start to work on that now. It is going to be a scholarly habits grade for if you studied or not. So I would say it's not accepting submissions. Why?
Can I answer it, Miss S?
Sorry? Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead and grab it and I'll get it in a second. Just go ahead and answer it and I'll be there in just a second. Just a second. Okay, I apologize, guys. The parent called. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. Well, no, because somebody submitted already. Abdullah, I'm not sure what you're talking about. So Marco still can't get submissions in, but I have a bunch of people who have one in progress, and I have one who completed it already. So I don't understand why. Yours isn't either, Paul? Okay. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, a bunch of you are saying it's not working. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and delete that one and add a new one, I guess, because for some reason you just can't get in. And that's not your fault. I just don't know why it's doing that. All right, go ahead and try now. I deleted that one and I made a new one and see if it works. You'll probably have to refresh, right? It's good now? Okay. All right, well, so all you need to do is do some or all of that at least once before you take the test on Tuesday. So that way your scholarly habit, right, is that you are studying for the test, okay? So that's what I would like you to do for Tuesday or before Tuesday. And that's basically it. So you are going to be working on reviewing. You can do that. Let me make sure that it's still up to 5 times if you want to. You do not have to do it. Paul, I'd like you to do it at least once more, just for review. Okay? Because a lot of people have not actually done it 3 times. Now, if you really don't want to do it, then that's fine. Like, it's just a scholarly habits grade. You're just doing the packet, the review. It's the same review that you did before when we did it all together, but now I want to see if you can actually remember what you're doing, like what the answers are, okay? All right, so that's it. You just have to do that at least once over the weekend. And then on next Tuesday, you have your test. Questions, concerns? I know, Abdullah, if you want to ask me your question again, I couldn't understand what you meant the first time, but I'm more than happy to answer it. I just didn't follow what you were asking for, sorry. And it is 10:50, so I will go ahead and let you go. I will see you next Tuesday. Have a good weekend. Oh, okay, I see. Yes, absolutely. The African Grove Theater, cool. You have a good weekend too. Yes, Marco, you can resume it later. Absolutely. You don't have to do it all now.
Hey.
Miss Plus, why were you doing that yesterday? Those mini toes.
I always do that.
Oh my God, that's so fun. You've never done that before.
Done what?
Ghost mini toes. Okay, guys, you have ghost mini toes.
You don't know me, but that's how my son talks.
Really? That must be so fun.
I was listening to your
Yes. Study all 75.
Today?
Don't watch this week, okay?
Oh!
It's easy, it's easy.
It's easy.
It's
No, it was like 6.
It's coming then.
No, yes.
No, guys, okay, you're not studying just for the places.
Study for
Everything that we do is recyclable.
All right, guys, it is after class, so you should go ahead and get ready for your next class. You can resume that quiz later, okay?